Welcome in, Viking Central. Thank you for tuning in. I got some NFL breaking news that I kind of wanted to talk about a little bit. I actually planned on coming on anyway. And then some breaking news here that maybe has something to do with the Vikings, could correlate a little bit to, to the Minnesota Vikings, as I'm already getting some comments on here surrounding exactly what I'm going to talk about. Before we hop in, do want to shout out our sponsor for this video. That's Badass Wood Art. Use code VC15 at checkout for 15% off your order at that'sbadasswoodart.com. You see the skull sign up here, and I'm pointing at. He does amazing work. Just check them out. That's badasswoodart.com. Use code VC15 again for 15% off your order. Also check out our Substack and all of our social media. If you're watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, turn that bell for notifications. You see our Substack across the bottom there, substack.com/Viking Central, or download the Substack app and search us at Viking Central, and you can subscribe to us from there. But again, I wanted to hop in to, again, some breaking news regarding the NFL and some wide receiver news. And obviously, we've been waiting on this wide receiver trade. And the Vikings have been very patient. They haven't done anything yet to this point. Teams are still trying to figure out what their 53 is going to look like. So, and they got until I think 3 o'clock tomorrow to pinpoint exactly what they're gonna look like for all these rosters. And it's just not just what the Vikings are going to look like. We got to see what other teams are kind of preparing for as well. Because do they want to keep a wide receiver? Do they want to look at getting rid of a wide receiver? There's a lot of moving parts that are going along with how this trade is going to happen and why it's just taking some time. But something that did just pop up, and I'm going to pull it up right here. If I can do this right. Let's see if I can get a little bigger. Oh, that'll be all right. So Rap Sheet just tweeted out, Raiders wide receiver Jakobi Meyers recently met with Team Brass and has requested a trade for himself and Tom Pelissero. The team, citing his value, said they had no plans to do so, but Myers and the team attempted to negotiate a new contract, but could come to terms. Now, he's on his final year of his contract. It'd be a perfect rental for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, they're probably going to want decent compensation if they're going to get rid of Jakobi Meyers. They're just not going to trade him to trade him. The Vikings do have a good allotment of draft picks, so it's something we could definitely look at doing. But at the same time, do you really want to do that for a one-year rental? He would be great. He's one of the most reliable wide receivers that would be available right now, probably the most reliable. Only 28 years old, right in the thick of his prime. Very underrated, overlooked wide receiver. Reliable hands, good after the catch. Had 87 receptions last year. He had a 1,000-yard season last year for a bad Raiders team, if you can believe that. He's been one of the lone bright spots in a Raiders organization that's kind of been a train wreck. Now you got Pete Carroll over there with Geno Smith, and hey, he wants to be traded. I'll pull up Travis's comment here, Jakobi Meyers. So it's very interesting. Now, does Kwesi look at this as an opportunity to jump at this thing? He could. He really could. But it depends on what the Raiders kind of want in return. Is going to kind of force their hand a little bit too. Man, I don't know. Do they want like a third? Yeah, he did amazing with mediocre quarterbacks. Fantastic. He'd be in perfect number 2 while we're waiting for Jordan Addison to come back. And that trio of Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, and Jakobi Meyers being your third wide receiver. Thing is, it would only probably be for the 2025 season, unless they do something with Addison next year. But he's probably going to want $25 million a year as a wide receiver, roughly right around there. I mean, Terry McLaurin probably is a better wide receiver than Jakobi Meyers at this point, but he's also 3 years older, and he just got $32 million AAV, so average annual value. So he's gonna get paid. Now, who's that going to be by? I don't know if it's going to be Vikings, but I could definitely see it being a one-year rental if the Vikings are comfortable given the compensation that they want to get back in return for Myers, pertaining to what they exactly want with a draft pick. Or, I mean, I don't even know what player that they'd want from the Vikings. And I'm just kind of going down here. Everyone's kind of just saying, hey, let's go get him. Let's go get him. So B Heinz, B Brian Heinz on X says he shares an agent with Andrew Van Ginkel, Aaron Jones, Jonathan Gennard, Josh Metellus, and Christian Darrisaw. Yeah, set up a call. Let's see what we can do here. There's obviously a really good relationship there. Man, that'd be. And sometimes we've seen Rick Spielman kind of just do a panic trade. He'd probably already would have traded it for Adam Thielen. He probably would have gave that third round pick right away. And I'm fine with Adam Thielen being on the Minnesota Vikings. I do not want to give up a third round pick for a 35-year-old wide receiver. Now, I would probably give a third round pick for Jakobi Meyers, but at the same time, for just 1 year, I mean, I'd think about it. It'd be more likely to me to do that than just giving it to Adam Thielen for probably 1 year, because he's going to be 36 next year. Who knows what his play is going to look like here in the next 12 months. So we know Jakobi Meyers is in his prime. We know he's a really damn good wide receiver. No chance we get Meyers right. I don't know. Like I've been saying, the draft capital is going to be a big thing, because I think they could probably find a pretty good partner that'd be willing to give up maybe a second or third round pick. And I don't know if the Vikings would do that, because they're going to have to pay Jordan Addison next year if that's what they're going to do. Maybe they go pay Meyers. I don't want to get too reckless and speculative, but Jordan Addison's had some off-field problems, off-field issues. He's got pretty damn good chemistry with J.J. McCarthy already. But do you trade for Jakobi Meyers and figure out a long-term contract with him around that $25, $26 million a year range, and then trade Jordan Addison in the offseason? Is that bad? Is that bad? Yeah, Travis says we could get a comp pick if he signed. So say we had Meyers this year, we would probably get a comp pick next year if he just walked, which is a great point. It'd probably be like a third round comp pick. So it almost offset itself. Yeah, Raiders said they won't trade him. That's pretty much every single team that has ever had to trade somebody. They're always going to say they're not going to trade him, because if they flat out said, hey, we're open to moving him, you're automatically diminishing his value. So they're not going to do that for the market, for market wise, because they want to say he's valuable. We love him here. We're not going to trade him. That's just going to drive up his price. If he doesn't want to play there and they can't come to, and obviously this is probably an agent sending this out, like he wants to be moved. This doesn't come lightly. So again, I'm just scrolling here for any new tidbits that I see. Nothing really right now. It's been pretty crazy about what we're kind of looking at here with the wide receiver, because I can move over here to Adam Thielen a little bit. Vikings and Panthers have still had discussions about Adam Thielen. Be an amazing reunion. Something that obviously we're going to continue to keep an eye on, but I don't know, man. I think the Panthers are sticking to their hand pretty hard with that third. Maybe they would go to a fourth round pick. I don't see the Vikings doing that. I think the Vikings are honestly, they'd maybe do that fifth round pick that they got in the trade for Sam Howell, but I honestly think they're pretty stuck on a sixth round pick for Adam Thielen, depending on what the Panthers would take with the salary and all that kind of stuff, and what that would exactly look like. So, but man, that's the only really wide receiver that the media has kind of connected us to, which is very interesting, because we're obviously in the market for a lot of players, for a lot of wide receivers on a lot of different teams, and we haven't heard anything other than Adam Thielen, which is pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie. So, and Adam Thielen obviously in contract with the Panthers. So that's, I don't know. A lot of different moving parts right now with Jakobi Meyers. Now, are they looking at a different wide receiver? Obviously, Terry McLaurin's off the market now. If they're going to go big game hunting, I mean, they could go for a Chris Olave or a Sheet Heat in the Saints, which I think they would be open to moving one of those guys because they are kind of in that rebuild mode. So players that are just kind of, um, you know, open to new spots, just like Jakobi Meyers. My man Steve says Alec Pierce is on the last year of his deal. Yeah, he'd be another great one. And honestly, he could like sign an extension. Like if he would get traded to the Vikings, I could see them being open to signing an extension with him because he would not cost too much money. I mean, they could do like a 2-3 year extension and not break the bank at all. And I think he'd be a pretty damn solid third wide receiver in this offense. That's one that I've always kept an eye on for a while here. I really do like Alec Pierce, and people are kind of like, eh. But at the same time, I would really like Alec Pierce in this offense. Any word on Trey Palmer? That's one that I've kind of pinpointed. Daniel House has pinpointed that one on X as well. And Steve, I just got your text. If you want to hop on, I think you should be able, if you go into StreamYard, you can just hop on right here and I'll get it figured out. But if you do want to hop on, yeah, you're more than welcome to. Trey Palmer is a guy that I think would be really good here. He only had 12 catches last year. So it wouldn't be like the most like, oh my gosh, we just got Trey Palmer. But I think he's got enough potential that he could probably be your wide receiver 3 for the time being until Jordan Addison comes back and you kind of just figure that out and kind of go from there. But I believe in Trey Palmer. I really liked him in the pre-draft process, and there's even talk that the Vikings did as well. So, and he might even get cut, I guess. I heard a couple people with the Buccaneers said that, yeah, he could get cut, which is pretty interesting. 6th round pick 2 years ago, I believe. All my years are kind of coming together. I've been looking at so many different wide receivers. So that's pretty I would love him in Minnesota. He could even be the fourth wide receiver, and I think he could make a difference if he has to fill in at any time. So, heard Vikings and Panthers talked again today. I feel like here's Steve. Let me get him on here. Oh, you're upside down. Can you hear me, Steve?
I sure can.
All right, let me get you on here. I need to tinker with this a little bit. We'll talk some wide receivers. I mean, hopefully just talk about a new wide receiver on the Vikings here shortly. We've been waiting. There we go. I'm doing the best I can here, as fast as I can, guys. Just give me 1 second. There we go. Make this a little bigger. There. Beautiful. All right, where do you kind of want to start, Steve? I mean, the news with Adam Thielen. I mean, we're still in discussions with that. I think that's been pretty obvious, but also kind of the Jakobi Meyers news that he's requested a trade. Do you think that's an option at all? I guess for Meyers to come to Minnesota.
I at least check on it. If I'm the Vikings, no matter what receiver you may be targeting, if it's some kind of a trade scenario, you have to give the look that, hey, there's other options out there.
Yep.
Otherwise, that team, let's just say it's the Panthers, if that's really who we want, you're giving them the upper hand to where they think, hey, if you want them, we're going to make you pay this. So if they are open to any kind of a trade, you have to make them think that, hey, they have different options where they can get a better deal, possibly even for a better receiver. Alec Pierce, I do like the idea of bringing in Alec Pierce. He's a younger guy as well too. There's more tread on the tires, and he's been a productive wide receiver in a Colts offense that really has had quarterback issues.
Yeah.
So, and he still found a way to have production. He had 8 touchdowns last year. I mean, Alec Pierce is definitely an option. I think with a contract extension for an Alec Pierce, he's going to command anywhere from like a 13 to $15 million range per year,
which is fair.
So,
I think.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's relatively low cost for somebody who's probably a borderline wide receiver 2-3 on a team.
Yeah,
that's probably and if he's a wide receiver 3 on any team, that's a pretty good wide receiver 3 on any time. on any team for Alec Pierce. But
Yeah,
you mentioned Jakobi Meyers. If you bring him in, man, yeah, any kind of a extension, I really hate the idea of signing him to an extension only for the fact that Jordan Addison looks like a beast. He looks like
I
he
know.
has amazing chemistry with JJ
Yep,
McCarthy. Anything we can do to keep that relationship, that connection together,
for
man.
sure.
That's going to be. It looks like he's taken a giant step forward this year.
Yep.
Yeah, we're going to miss him for 3 games, but when we get him back, I'll be shocked if he doesn't have a crazy good year. And there's a lot of mouths to feed on this team, and we're going to
Mhm.
run the ball a lot more. That's something to take it. You can't look at it from a statistical perspective on
Yeah,
the kind of season that uh, even Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson are going to have.
for
Don't
sure.
look at it from a just. There's so much talent on this offensive side of the ball that everyone's going to have to kind of share carries, targets, make
For
it
sure.
what you will.
Yep. No, I 100% understand where you're coming from, and I'll just kind of start with your Alec Pierce point. I would love Alec Pierce. He's like been towards the top of my list as well.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't think it'd take much to trade for him. I think it'd be like a late round pick, like probably a 6th round pick. I think you could probably get him because he is kind of. You got Michael Pittman over there. You got a couple other guys, young guys that are really coming into their own. He's probably the 4th wide receiver over there. So I think we can get him for a pretty easy cost when it comes to draft capital wise.
Hmm.
Um, and I like you said, $13 to $15 million a year. If you trade for him and just send him to an extension right away, you're getting ahead of that. I mean, in 1-2 years, that's going to be chump change. It's going to be a really good deal to be, like you said, maybe your 2nd or 3rd option when it comes to wide receivers. Um, and yeah, Jordan Addison, we've talked about this. The chemistry that he's shown with JJ McCarthy is second to none at this point. Like
Right.
it's been fantastic. And I don't want to do anything to hinder that. Obviously, the suspension will hinder that a little bit for the time being. But I think they can get right back on track. The only reason why I would maybe trade for Jakobi Meyers is if they don't trust Jordan Addison, I guess, just the off-field stuff. But it feels like he's kind of cleaned that up. He's coming into his own a little bit. He's maturing. He's getting older. But if for some reason they don't trust him and they don't plan to sign him to an extension, that's the only reason why I would do something for Jakobi Meyers. Because the Raiders are going to get better offers because there's going to be teams that are going to want to sign him to a long-term extension, or the Vikings might not do that. Because if a team wants him there for sure for the next 4 or 5 years, they'll probably give a 2nd-round pick for him, probably.
Hmm.
The Vikings won't do that for a 1-year rental,
Uh,
if you understand where I'm coming from there.
I have another idea. If the Colts aren't willing to part with Alec Pierce, is Adonai Mitchell then on the block?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's a great point too. There's a lot of interesting options out there that we're not even really thinking of because shit. I mean, we thought we had a good wide receiver room, and then all these injuries, suspension, and everything. There's a lot of teams out there, kind of with wide receiver rooms that are pretty crowded. I think we should be able to get a really good player for a decent price. And I know Adam Thielen. I find this interesting. I kind of talked about before. Adam Thielen is like the only name that has been thrown out there by like any media that there's actually been true dialogue between like the Vikings and the Panthers. Why do you think like no other no other name has kind of came about like where we've actually been told there's been actual like an inquiry about it?
Well, I think we've already. I think you and I have talked a little bit privately too. I think there has been reaching out. I
Yeah.
think we did probably go after maybe some other targets as well too,
Yep.
um, that just aren't being reported. Adam Thielen's probably the easy one that media can are kind
Yeah.
of honing in on, but I guarantee that's not the only team that we've specifically called out to, and the only player that we're targeting.
Yep.
But getting that out there, it would be nice if they would. If I'm the Vikings, I maybe leak that out there to the media because again, I want to drive. If Adam Thielen is who you want, I want to drive the price down.
Yeah.
How I drive it down is making it look like I'm going after other guys. And if I'm the Panthers, then maybe you make a call back. You
Yep.
know, when you see that and you're like, wait a minute, let's go back to the deal. Would you be willing to do this? And maybe
Yep.
they're willing to come down off of uh, you know, their mountain of unrealistic ideas.
Yeah. And where would you be comfortable? I'm reading a couple comments here. Some people are saying give him a fourth for Adam Thielen. Some are saying package a fifth and a seventh. Someone's saying a sixth round pick is all I would do.
Uh,
What
a
would you be
fifth,
comfortable with?
a fifth and a seventh.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, he's an older guy. Um, if we literally cannot get anyone else, I mean, yeah, maybe you do a fourth
Yeah.
instead of if you're willing to do a fifth and a seventh, why not do a fourth, I guess. I'd like to keep the fourth. I really would. A fifth and a seventh, I'd be willing to do.
Yeah. And we got the capital in like those later rounds too to do that. I would be very comfortable doing it, for sure. And
Hmm.
there's a lot to see what's going to play out. We got pretty much 24 hours until we have to be down to 53. There could be another trade in there. It sounds like they're looking to trade one of their offensive linemen. I don't know if they'll get anything for like a Leroy Watson, but it sounds like they were talking a seventh round pick there, or even Ty Chandler. We've talked about that a little bit, that they can maybe get something. And not
That's crazy.
yeah, that doesn't always happen. I mean, but we didn't
Yeah.
expect Sam Howell to net a return either. So
Right. And they brought this up on Ty Chandler, so why would a team give us anything for Ty Chandler? It's because they don't want him, if they were looking for it, it's because they don't want him to hit the waiver wire. Now,
yeah,
the report that the Texans were looking at Ty Chandler to me is weird,
yeah,
just for the fact that they already have um, three really good running backs.
mhm,
I don't know why they would be interested unless you're going to dump Dameon Pierce's contract. I guess I can see that if that's the case. But you got Nick Chubb on that roster along with Joe Mixon. That's again, you got a crowded running back room the way it is. So unless they're looking to try to dump and shed some salary, then Pierce is probably the odd man out that gets cut because they're trying to save some money down the road.
for sure. And
But
another thing when I think of Ty Chandler is kick returns are going to be a lot more prevalent this year, and he does have a lot of kick return experience. So I don't know if there's a team out there that's willing to throw in a sixth or seventh round pick just for a experienced kick returner,
yeah.
because touchbacks are all the way to the 35-yard line this year. We're going to
Hmm.
see more kick returns. So I don't know if that has anything to do with it either. So
Well, the one thing that's going to maybe change it, there is a possibility that you see a Ty Chandler still stay on this team. And the
yeah,
way that happens, at least initially, is if we keep more running backs on the roster because maybe we put some individuals that have injuries. I saw Purple Persuasion put it out. I retweeted it or commented on it that hey, we have certain players, and I talked about in the 53 53 man roster 3.0 as well too.
mhm,
You have individuals like Jalen Naylor. We don't know what's going on with his injury. He could be put on the short-term IR, and that's going to cost him four games. So that means someone else is getting a roster spot in addition to that's on the roster. But I do think Miles Price has done enough to show that he's capable of doing punt returns, and with his 81-yard kick return, he's
yeah,
shown that he's capable of having some explosiveness in that area. So
yeah,
I do have to get going here myself because I got to catch a flight. I'm glad I was able to jump on with you for a little
oh
bit.
yeah,
I can't wait to do some more pods when I get back. But thanks everyone. I'm out at least. I know Brett's going to continue with the conversation, but a lot of big things coming up. I'm excited to see what happens with the 53-man roster, different moves. Who knows? And you might get to it. Looks like we got someone else in here too. I'm going to jump off, but do we add somebody at corner too? That could be a discussion as well. We
yep,
got
very
we
much
we
so.
we got an old friend, an old familiar friend that I'm sure you'll bring up here too. But
Perfect.
so long.
Yep.
Steve's out here.
See you, Steve. Thanks for hopping on, man. If I had the applause sounder, I would give Steve his applause. Um, he does a lot of work for us over here. Really appreciate him. KJ Frederick asked, did Myers request a trade? He sure did. He requested a trade probably about 25 minutes ago. So he is officially on the trade market. Raiders say they don't want to trade him, but at the same time, um, I think they might just do it, because I don't know if he'll play it out. Doesn't seem like he's very happy there. So Family Man also has a couple things here. As far as Myers, I'd be interested, but Jets or Steelers probably make more sense. Pittsburgh makes great sense if they really think Rodgers can take them on a run. They desperately need an upgrade at wide receiver too. 100%. That kind of relates to my point that there's going to be other teams that are willing to give more compensation that the Vikings are willing to, unless Minnesota wants Myers long term. But I think that's going to kind of correlate with what they want to do with Jordan Addison. If they're going to give Jordan Addison a long-term deal next year, he'll be on his final year of his contract next year. Addison's going to get paid up towards damn near $30 million at that point as well. So they're not going to pay three guys that kind of money at the wide receiver position. So at the same time, even if he does just play 2025 with Jakobi Meyers, the Vikings aren't going to want to give a second or third round pick just to have him for 1 year. So I think that's going to make a difference as well. Some cornerbacks are getting released. Eli Ricks, cornerback out of Georgia, got released by the Eagles. An interesting name for the Vikings. I believe there was also some interest in the pre-draft process with him. And also Mike Hilton, one of my favorite nickel corners in the entire NFL, got released by the Dolphins. He was only there for like 4 weeks. So I don't know if there's something going on there that the Dolphins saw that they just flat out released him. But he's something that I definitely think the Vikings should at least look at because he's a dog. He's a really damn good 30 years old. A guy that I think has some good football left in him as well. Cam Dancer is still out there. Former Viking. I don't know what the interest level would be there, but someone that, has experience in Minnesota. Sorry, I can't spit out my words right now. I'm trying to do 3 things at once, but I think the Vikings really do need to add to that cornerback room almost as much as they need to add to the wide receiver room. And I think there could be corresponding moves with the wide receiver position and the cornerback position here. But by the end of the day, for sure by 3 p.m. tomorrow, when the roster has to be down to 53, there's some players out there, CJ Ham, Xavier Scott, I'm missing a couple that could start the season on short-term IR, and that would open up some more roster spots as well. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Vikings exactly do and what the 53-man roster looks like, because they could add a wide receiver and a quarterback before then, or they could just wait for cuts and kind of just see what they're going to do and sift through everything that happens as well. So the roster is obviously very fluid. We don't know what it's going to look like. It could look a lot different in the next 48 hours. If you guys are watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications. I see there's about 20 of you on there. If all 20 of you hit subscribe, thank you so much. We're just trying to grow this up. Really do appreciate it. If you're watching on X, where most of you are, almost 600 of you, I appreciate you guys hopping on. Make sure you follow Viking Central, which I'm sure you already are. But at the same time, appreciate all the support. Support our sponsors. That's BetUs with our use code VC15 and our Substack, substack.com/Vikings Central. So just wanted to hop on again, talk some wide receiver, kind of where we're sitting. I expect something pretty quick, but I've been saying that for the last 3 days or so. Is something going to happen with Adam Thielen? Does Jakobi Meyers actually become an option, or do they look like a Trey Palmer or another guy that's kind of out there like Alec Pierce that Steve has been talking about? I'm really high on Alec Pierce as well. There's some good players out there that I can fit in the mold here into the system in Minnesota and just be really successful with Kevin O'Connell's, experience and just amazing play calling for this offense. And just to grow with JJ McCarthy, I think it would be really well suited for any of those wide receivers. So I appreciate you guys hopping on. That's all I got for you right now. We went about 30 minutes. If any news does drop, I'll try my best to get on here. I'll probably drop when Steve's on a flight, and he'll really enjoy that. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Viking Central. God bless.